All right, so I got to admit something. I hate hooking up my gaming PC to play sim golf. I set it up and then I got my keyboard and mouse out. I think there's a lot of people who'd prefer to just play on the iPad, like me a lot of times. Just tapping that screen right in front of me to hit a mulligan or change my aim versus getting out the keyboard and mouse. So today we're gonna look at the Mevo Gen2 and the SkyTrak on the iPad. We're gonna look at the driving range. We're gonna look at course play. We're gonna look at some of the different ways you can practice on both of these units. So if you've been considering one of these launch monitors and you're not sure if you want to get a gaming PC or not, I want to show you what life is like with only an iPad. So stay tuned. We're going to check out both of these units and I'll put chapter links down below so you can skip ahead to the section that's relevant to you. Flightscope did recently announce the Pro package and face impact unlocks for the Mevo Gen2, and I've got those up and running here today as well. So if you're curious what that looks like in the context of the iPad, I've got you covered. I just wanted to say I really like how the iPad app shows me my shot dispersion. It shows me this heat map of where my shots are landing. So as I land shots onto the driving range, that heat map updates real time and it draws a light yellow circle around where all my shots are landing in front of me. I caught that shot a little fat, but I think it'll get close. It'll come up a little bit short. So we'll see that ring open up. Now my heat map's moving in towards me. That's not great. All right, the other thing I want to point out here is we can set up a green. So if I want to go to the config, the gear icon, I can pick a green. Let's say this one's 60 by 60. So now we have a nice big green out there for us to work with. Let's see if we can land a couple on the green, and this will tell us whether we hit or miss our target. That other little sliver there, that's our dispersion. So my shots have been really consistent as far as distance. I really like that heat map. I really like the driving range. I really like the shot optimizer numbers. Big fan of all this stuff in the SkyTrak driving range. All right, so hole 18, Pebble Beach, the Trackman course, looking pretty great here on the iPad. I'm gonna try to give this a really pretty big swing and see if we can get this out by that tree. That felt pretty solid. All right, I think we'll get there. Oh, that's about the worst case I could hope for. I'm going to take a mulligan. Oh, is it going to clear? Yeah, it will. All right. So a little shorter, but we're clear of that tree at least this time. For the next shot, I think I'll try and end up in there. So I think that's going to be a little bit out to the right. Yeah, I had the face open a little bit. That's all right. All right. Not bad. Came up 2 feet short. That felt about right. So that's course play on the iPad. Again, really, really huge selling point for me is that the SkyTrak app on the iPad gives you everything. Gives you course play, gives you all the ranges, gives you speed training. There's not really anything else you need to look at. We can play in the driving range, which we looked at. That's pretty nice, but we can also practice on a course. So if I want to do this, maybe I want to practice on this par 3 next. All right, 162 yards, down 1 foot. I'll see what the 9-iron can do for me today. That felt really nice. It's about as good as I can hit my 9-iron. And if you want to learn more about the Mevo Gen2 or the SkyTrak ST Plus or ST Max, check out the videos I have over on Play Better where I do a pretty deep rundown on both of those units. I'll put those links down below. All right, so I've got FS Golf up on the iPad right now. I've got my gap wedge, we'll hit a few shots. I want to mention that on the right there, I've got the data points that are available via the Pro package and the face impact unlock. So face impact right there, club path, face to path. If you don't buy those upgrades, you won't have those data points, but the rest of the data points along the bottom are the same, including angle of attack.
Carry is 133.3 yards. Ready. carry is 131.4 yards.
All right, so I've hit a few with my gap wedge here, and what I want to point out is on the right, that face impact, it shows me exactly where my shots are hitting on the face of the club. Club path, 1.7 left, face was a little bit open. Now the driving range on the FS Golf app, it gives us a lot of different ways to look at our data. We can look at top-down view, we can look at down-the-line view, we can turn on all our shots so we can see how all the shots in the session stacked up in a lot of different ways. I like all these different views on the FS Golf app. Pretty nice that you get all this right on the iPad. Now with the sale prices on the Pro package upgrade, you can get the Mevo Gen 2 and the Pro package for less than $2,000 all in, no subscriptions. If you want to get face impact, that's another $300. It's a pretty neat feature and it's pretty helpful. All right, so right now we're looking at Kapalua Plantation course on E6 Connect, hooked up to the Flightscope Mevo Gen 2. This is one of the courses that comes with the purchase of the Mevo Gen 2. You don't have to pay a subscription. You get 8 of these courses. E6 Connect's pretty nice. There's some things about the physics that I feel could be better. Balls tend to roll for a really long time down rough areas where you feel like they shouldn't. But overall, for an included app, I think this is pretty solid. It looks a little better on the PC, but the iPad experience isn't bad. Compared to the SkyTrak app, I think it's not quite as high fidelity. That felt pretty solid. All right, so I didn't quite get that downhill roll. I've got a lot left on that second shot, and there's this really big gully to clear. 241 yards or so left. So this is nice. It shows me some shot data. I've got the mulligan button right there if I want to mulligan. I like this view. I just wish the Mevo gave me that club face and club path data. Maybe I can carry at least to the green with my 5-wood. That might get there. All right, so we'll see how a short chip does here now on the Mevo. All right, so we've got 72 feet. It's up 1.5 feet. Well, not quite enough. We've got an 11-foot putt, 7 inches uphill. Well, I read that a little slower than I expected. On the Mevo Gen 2, we have to putt with a different ball than the RCT ball. So get a different ball, set up a little bit closer, set up a little bit over. One of the other things I wanted to cover in the E6 app is the practice facilities are actually really nice. You get a nice driving range, but you also get some nice practice modes. Like if we go to this chip and putt section, we can pick any of these. Let's just say 32-yard bunker shot. What's nice about this is it gives me a shot that I can just repeat over and over that's a little more dynamic than the traditional driving range. So I've got the green right there and I'm in a bunker. You can see this takes a lot off of my power. Okay, so that was a little too much. So now that I have a feel for what this is expecting from me, I'm take the shot again, give a little bit less. The FS Golf app itself, it gives you a pretty plain driving range. The driving range is great. I really like the data it gives you, but the chipping and the putting modes, they kind of leave something to be desired for me. So, you know, if you've got the space, if you've got the 8 feet behind the hitting area and 8 to 10 feet in front of the hitting area, 16 to 20 feet in length total, the Mevo Gen 2 is fantastic. Works with righties and lefties, gives you all kinds of ball data if you want it, but you don't have to pay for it if you don't. Integrates with all the third-party apps and gives you a lot of options in how you use your simulator. The SkyTrak, on the other hand, it doesn't have as many integration options, but the included app experience on the iPad, it's all inclusive and it's really top-notch. You get a lot of the same data. You get club path, face to path. You don't get that impact location. But for the most part, I think the SkyTrak does a really great job tracking balls. It does a great job with short chips and putts. And it just has a really solid packaged software experience on the iPad. So the ST Plus is about $2,000 and the Mevo Gen 2 plus the Pro package right now sitting at about $2,000. I'm curious which one's more interesting to you. If you're playing only on the iPad, I gotta say I might go for the SkyTrak. The bundled software and the built-in course play experience, it really can't be beat. That said, you're gonna pay at least $300 a year if you wanna do course play on that app. I think it's worth it though, given the quality of the courses you get. Now the Flightscope Mevo Gen 2, it's a deal. I think all of the data it gives you is amazing. All of the integrations are amazing. But if you're playing only on the iPad, it does constrain what you can do a little bit. You can play awesome golf. You can play E6 Connect, but you can't play GS Pro And you don't get those kind of Trackman or Foresight courses either. So you're probably going to be spending some money on a subscription for some sim golf if you buy the Mevo Gen 2. And again, I'm Danny. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll catch you on the next one.